Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Whole of England and today we are looking at a user submitted replay, and that is playing in the Audacious, the tier 10 British carrier. Now, like in the previous replays where we've looked at the Audacious, it is being played by the user DrSkyrim. Now, he certainly does quite like the Audacious as he's played it quite a lot, and actually he's the one that gave me the title idea for this video, which is Flying Conqueror. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory as to why it's called that, just for the fact of it's incredible at setting fires. Or at least the high explosive bombs are anyway. I mean, the torpedoes are pretty great, these attack planes are quite good, but it is certainly the bombs that really do the massive amount of damage here. Now, he's currently focusing the Mogador at the moment, so he's doing quite a bit of damage to him so far. And considering it's a French destroyer as well, which are usually quite good at just generally stopping and duking the actual shots of the rocket planes, this player has not managed to duke them too well so far, as he's already lost just under 10,000 HP, and he's still got a squadron to go. Yep, just about gets another shot there, and he gets his first 10,000 damage just from a single destroyer, so that Mogador's definitely not enjoying himself at the moment. Now, we are going over to these high explosive bombers, and we will now see exactly why it gets its name. Now, DrSkyrim, he's certainly got a knack for getting these sort of replays, because he's submitted quite a few now which have been incredibly close, and this one is no exception. I'm not going to give any spoilers as to which way the battle goes, but it's very close. It is certainly very close, and you will see why, especially towards the end of the video. But at the moment, it is just at the very start of the game, so it is just really going to be a fact of just draining the enemy's HP whilst the enemies drain the friendlies team, and just how every game really goes. So it's just a fact of we get to watch how it really is like to play in the Audacious. Now, he is currently spotted by the enemy carrier, which is the mmorpg, and okay, it looks like the enemy Mogador is still there because fighters have been dropped by the looks of it, but that doesn't seem to bother Skyrim, as he is just going a little bit past and seems to be now targeting the enemy Missouri, who does play a key role later in this game. Now, here we go. Thankfully, the the Missouri is currently basically bow on, or sorry, he's stern on actually. He's trying to fly away at the moment, but this is perfect for bombers, as you're about to see. It's basically just a nice flat run. There we go, nice 5 hits, a 10,000 damage salvo there, and does manage to get a fire. Now, the one issue here is you do set fires, but especially when things like this happen, so he's just dropped his bombers and then he's sent his fighters back. I mean, I'm assuming the Missouri is letting the fire run at the moment, or, well, it has just stopped now. But the problem is when you do get a fire or flooding and then you bring back your fighters, then there is a good chance that they'll put that out because they know they're not at any risk, so they can just press their R key and then they are pretty much safe to repair that. So you can't always get permanent floodings or fires for that reason. However, if you're getting them when they're in the heat of battle, for example, let's say they've been set on fire or flooded previously and they've done it, then you do have the potential to get a permanent fire or flood. However, we are at the start of the game here, so that unfortunately isn't the case. But even so, he's got 23,000 damage and it is overall looking quite nice. Now, as it stands for the team composition, each side does have 4 destroyers, both of which one has been knocked out of each side, and the enemy Mogador, who lost 10,000 HP, is still alive, so we definitely know in terms of HP they are at a bit of a disadvantage. Now, there is quite a pretty heavy AA bubble here. It is a Zhao, a Musashi and a Missouri, so it's certainly going to be quite hard for Skyrim to get in here, but he does appear to be focusing on, well, it looks like he's going for the Musashi, but not in, yeah, okay, yeah, he is going for the Musashi here, but the Musashi is turning away. I mean, this is, I'm surprised that the planes have actually lasted this long. I think it's because he did just pop his fighter heal there, but they are withstanding the fire quite well. His second squadron has been hit by flak by the looks of it, as they are all orange. Oh yeah, you can see them going down now. But he does manage to get a flood and a single target hit, which is quite nice considering that the Musashi was sailing away and his stern was facing him, but that has allowed him to get some more torpedo bombers off, and those are looking very nice indeed. Gets one on the bow, gets another flooding. Hopefully that is a perm flood, and it does look to be the case, as, yep, definitely not put it out, so that is actually a permanent flood, which is very good, and he does get a +1 from the Musha, which is the friendly Alexander Nevsky, I believe. Is he? I can't see. Oh, yeah, he's just up there, so yeah. Cool, and now he's going back with his HE bombers, and yep, that is certainly a permaflood because his damage is now ticking up very nicely, and he's already past 50,000 damage, only 6 minutes into the game, which is quite good. And at the moment, as the team stand, it's looking to be quite a long game because there's only 2 ships being lost for this entire period of time, and usually at this point you've usually got quite a few ships that have been taken out, but as it stands, not much has really happened, which is quite good. Now he's coming over to the centre at the moment, as the friendly team does have the advantage on caps here, but there is a pretty significant force coming from the Alpha cap, and they are pushing into the Bravo cap, which is only being defended by a Neptune and a Mogador, but there is also Georgia holding the slight bottleneck, which is between Bravo and Charlie. Now, what Skyrim is doing here, he is using the islands to his advantage, which is good because it allows you to effectively block some AA fire for a little bit and get quite close to your opponents, and does manage to get a nice drop on that Alaska, pretty unscathed, and gets nice 5 hits there with the bombs. I'm not entirely sure how much damage that did. I think that was about 7,000 there, looking at the difference in damage. And then here it comes, the Lion, who is also stern on, means he can get a really nice drop there. He's for 7,500 damage drop and gets a double fire, which is incredible. So that's hopefully going to get him losing a bit of HP, as he had already got a fire running, unless he was waiting to use his damage control party, in which that's not going to be a permanent fire, and it doesn't look like it by the ticking of the damage meter, but even so, he's at 73,000 damage, so almost the way there to 100k, and only 3 ships have been lost this game. So far, it's pretty even. The friendly team does have 2 caps, however, the enemy team does have a point advantage, so at the moment it is a very, I guess, even game at this point, and it will stay like that for quite a while. And really, it's just, as I say, it's just going to be a fact of we're just going to watch how it is to be playing in the Audacious, what you're really going to be doing, and generally just watching a battle unfold. And that's the one thing with carriers, is because when you're playing in, say, a battleship or cruiser or something, a lot of the time you are going to be more in the action a little bit more, because you're going to be more often than not firing your guns or getting to different positions, and carrier play is more just generally this, because you're going to be a little bit further away. As you can currently see, he's in the A10 grid square on the map, which means he does have a bit of travel time in terms of where he's moving his planes, but he is starting to move forward a bit because it does look like his team has certainly secured the Charlie cap, or at least that side of the map is pretty well secured by the friendly team, so he's able to move forward, but a lot of the time is going to be spent actually travelling across the map to get to his intended target, which does look to be either the Missouri or the Musashi, as both of them are pretty alone here, so that's what you're going to be wanting to go for. Now the Missouri does have a lot less HP, but it does seem that Skyrim is... Ooh, okay, there is a enemy Marceau, which is something you don't particularly want to be going against, because they are very hard to knock out, because they are incredibly fast, and the chances of landing hits, especially with torpedo bombers, is quite hard. So if you do manage to hit torpedoes, then that is certainly a good feat, but does just go through that AA bubble, and instead drops on the Musashi, with a pretty nice looking drop there as well, with 3 of those hopefully arming in time. Yep, those have armed, and does manage to get 2 hits, a flooding, and now can start turning around and getting a second hit. Now the Musashi has repaired that flooding, so if he does get a flooding here, he is going to be able to get another perma-flood on the Musashi, but we will see whether those, whether the damage control party runs out in time. And we're seeing here 1, 2, 3, gets a flood. That's permanent, so that should allow him to get up to 100,000 damage. Now at this point he's going back into his high explosive bombers, and is now going to be supporting over on the left side of the map, because they've got a pretty nice position here. They've got a Republic, which by the looks of it is currently facing off that Lepanto, and I'm assuming the Mogador is going to be either dropping torpedoes or... I'm not entirely sure. Probably going to be... Oh yeah, he's probably going to be dropping torpedoes there whilst the Republic tries to engage. I mean, from the looks of it, the Republic is currently broadside to the Lepanto, which is quite interesting, as that's going to be pretty damaging if the Lepanto manages to get a nice salvo there. And it does appear that the Mogador is doing Mogador things, and... well, you can currently see that massive load of fire going. Oh yeah, wow, that Lepanto has taken a lot of damage there. Oh yeah, and those are the torpedoes, so he's definitely out of the battle. So that's why Dr. Skyrim is coming in to give a bit of support to his team, as they do have quite a strong force, which is really just surrounding his team. Now the Montana has also just taken a couple of torpedoes there, and yep, the Mogador, well, the friendly Mogador has just knocked him out, leaving the only, well, the Republic and Mogador that are on the enemy team are pretty far out of the battle, so that does leave the Lion basically on his own, which is exactly what Skyrim wants here, because it means he's not going to have too much resistance in terms of AA. Yep, he's just really dodging this flak over here, and it just allows him to get possibly a couple of runs on him. Now gets that first drop, and you can see that's looking really quite nice. They're all going to, or most of them are going to hit there. Yep, ooh, really nice. 11,000 damage and a fire. Really beautiful. So if he puts that fire out, then there's a potential to get another fire here, but the problem is the damage control party could still be active by the time the bombs drop, so I think the second time he may not get a fire here. And we will see. I mean, either way, quite a nice drop there. 3 hits by the looks of it, but yeah, no fires unfortunately. Even so, that's quite nice, gets him up to 125k, and now he's going for torpedoes. Now, the one problem at the moment is he put his carrier going forward, because at the time it did look like the friendly side had got the Charlie cap and that side of the map pretty much secured, but unfortunately it does look like a Marso has managed to get through the line, so this is going to put him in danger here, and I do think he goes onto the map, and well, I think he's already changing course at the moment, and as I was saying earlier, it is quite difficult to hit Marsos, especially with torpedoes, so this is more going to be a fact of making him turn, lose speed, and then possibly get him on a second run here. Yeah, by the looks of it, those are, yeah, he just about threaded a leader there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's hard to do anyway, so at the end of the day, you can only try and do this, but he has slowed down, so hopefully he can get some hits, or at least make the Marso have to maneuver and allow his teammates to get a bit more damage onto that Marso, and we've turned into a submarine by the looks of it. Okay, and there we go. So now he's got fighters going, which is what you want to be actually going for. Unfortunately, does not manage to get any torpedo hits there, as Marso does outmaneuver it, but because he's spotted, the friendly Nevsky is currently mowing this guy down with some shells, and they are actually really well aimed. He's doing a lot of damage considering it's Marso. And yet, look at that, 3,500 damage there nearly, and incapacitates his engine, so definitely not good for this Marso, but at the same time, it's certainly not good for Dr. Skyrim, because you can currently see how his HP is faring after engaging with this Marso for not even the longest period of time, just for the overall damage output that thing can really do, as well as the torpedoes it's dropped. But because he is spotting it, it is allowing the Nevsky to shoot him down, and plus he's using fighters at the moment, so that is making life even more bearable. Now, he does appear to be on fire, so even if this doesn't kill him, those rockets should hopefully... Oh, okay, 89 HP, that's really unfortunate there. But the Nevsky does manage to save him, and Skyrim is able to carry on fighting with a pretty decent 20,000 HP. So that was quite scary, but thankfully he did survive. Now, as it stands, the friendly team does currently have... Well, the middle cap is being contested at the moment, but as it stands, it does look like the friendly team is having a pretty good advantage. I mean, the Shimakaze has just been taken out, but there is still an advantage in terms of destroyers, and in terms of points there is... Oh, okay, well, they did have an advantage on the destroyers, but now it is 1-1. But currently, look on the map, you'll see the Osteothland was last spotted there. Yep, there we go. And he's only got 2,000 HP. This means that Skyrim can just turn around. He's got an entire squadron of planes here, and that's going to mean he's pretty much fine. So even if this Osteothland does get an entire salvo of flak detonating, he's still going to be able to get a run or two off. Yep, takes off, gets him down half of that existing HP he's got, so can come around for another run with more than enough HP to spare with his planes. And unfortunately, he is being spotted by the enemy carrier at the moment. And there we go, drops some rockets, and there we go, that has now given the friendly team an advantage on destroyers, where we do have the Mogador, which is going back into the Bravo cap, and is going to start securing that, and allowing the friendly team to start earning more points than the enemy. And as it stands, the amount of points that the friendly team has got is more than the enemy team, so it is still looking like there is a pretty clear advantage. But in terms of ships, it's not the best. I mean, yeah, the enemy team, they've got 3 battleships and a cruiser, and the friendly team has got 2 battleships. Well, it's a slightly wounded Nevsky as well as a Mogador, so it's certainly going to be a slightly more difficult battle, especially with 2 battleships currently running side by side I'm not entirely sure what the second one is. I think that's the Lion. So Republic and a Lion, which are very close to each other, and they are able to engage the friendly Georgian Kerr first. Now, the Missouri is also on this side of the map, so he has repositioned himself and is coming into Charlie, which is a little bit problematic for Skyrim, as well, he's now running away from both the Republic and the Lion, and he also has to worry about the Missouri, so either way, it's quite a scary situation to be in, but that doesn't stop him from getting some drops off, and that's a really well aimed. Yeah, look at that, 10,000 damage again on that Missouri. That was a really nice hit there. Over 10% of his HP just completely wiped out then, and still has more fighters to go, so he can get even more damage and potentially another fire. So even though he is probably going to be coming under fire shortly, he is still able to get a nice drop off. I'm not entirely sure how much that is, so we'll wait for those to drop. Ooh, very good, and does manage to get a fire. Whether that's permanent or not, I'm not sure, but considering he started off at 40,000 HP, now he's sitting, well, he is currently healing up, but even so, that's a very nice amount of damage, so at least 25k has been knocked out there, and the torpedo bombers do also have a health here as well, so if he does get hit by some flak, he can just very easily pop his heal and carry on with his run. Now he is currently engaging this, and you can see the flak is coming in, and the Missouri's turning in, so it's going to be hard to hit something, but because he's turning in, he's losing speed, so it's going to be able to just really get around him and get the Missouri whilst he's lost a lot of speed. And by the looks of it, that's going to be a hit, so oh yeah, just clipped in on the side there, so very nice hit considering he was turning into those torpedoes, and because he's slowed down, it now allows for a very nice run of torpedoes here, which just get dropped there. But because he is spotted, or at least he was spotted, yeah, you can currently see those shots coming in, and his HP has dropped from 20,000 to 9,000. And a really, really nice double torpedo hit there, leaving him with 14,000 HP. And because he repaired that fire a few minutes ago, or I don't think it was even a few minutes ago, but he recently repaired the fire, he now has a perma-flood, so he can come on in with these HE bombers, and whilst that HP is ticking down, he can certainly do some damage. Unfortunately, the secondaries of the Missouri are popping off, and there goes his main batteries as well, which is quite bad because that's probably going to kill him, but yeah, so there we go. Skyrim has been knocked out, but you can see the Missouri has also been knocked out. Now, this is what I meant by this is an incredibly close game. What was a fairly even fight there in terms of the number of ships is now at the disadvantage of the friendly team. We've currently got the Mogador, who is capping the Alpha objective, which is good because they're certainly going to need caps and they're going to need to get these points very quickly. And they've got a Nevsky, which has not got much HP left and is being pursued by a Lion and a Zao, which is not a position you want to be in, especially with 10,000 HP, as the high explosive is going to be pretty devastating to the Nevsky. I mean, that looked like maybe a single shot there, and that took about 1,000 HP, and he's just running away. And considering he's by an island as well, that's quite scary because he's going to actually have to turn in here. But yeah, it really is up to Skyrim here to get a bit of spotting in, just to give this Nevsky a bit of information to possibly fire over that island and generally just get away as best as he can. And he does only have 1:56 left on this, so it's just get in, maybe do a bit more damage, and then watch and hope for the best. Now, the brilliant Mogador has been knocked out of the, well, not knocked out, but he's been run out of the cut because the enemy carrier is currently using, I'm assuming those are oh yeah, he's using bombers at the moment, and the Mogador is trying to pursue the Richtofen, and there we go, that was the last of his attacks there. Gets a double fire on the Lion, which is incredibly good, and that does seem to be dropping in there, so we're going to get to over 200k damage, so an amazing score there, brilliant score, and that is still ticking up at the moment. And now it's just a fact of watching and just really hoping this Nevsky doesn't die. So this is what I meant by this was going to be a really close game. There's 12 seconds left on the clock, and there are 900 points, so thankfully it is, I mean, unless both of these ships die instantly, it is basically a win. Yeah, 2,000 damage. But there we go, that is the end of the game, and now we'll go to the end result screen. So as you can see, an incredibly good score there, 202,000 damage, and a very, very good contribution to that battle. Now, 404,000 credits, overall very good, as well as some nice free experience there, but you can definitely see with the ribbons he's got, he's definitely done quite a lot. I mean, spotted, he's spotted the entire enemy team there, 15 spotted ribbons, so overall very nice there. 63 HE bomb hits, which equates to 8 fires, which is quite good, as well as a nice amount of target hits with the torpedoes. So overall, did really well, and that was incredibly, well, yeah, definitely a well-earned victory that was incredibly close. Now, looking on the team score here as well, I'm quite surprised that he didn't come, like, even in the top 3 there, so that was an incredibly well-played game there, just from all of his teammates, because earning that amount of XP, I mean, 1600 usually gets you to the top in a lot of games. But, you know, the top guy there got 2,000, so it just shows you that really he got a very strong team there. So that was a really well-fought game and definitely deserved that victory. So overall, just a brilliant team, brilliant game, and overall was really enjoyable to watch. Now, that is the end of the video, so I hope you've enjoyed watching that replay. I certainly enjoyed recording it, watching it, and obviously giving a commentary, but that does really bring us to the end of the video. So if you did like, then make sure to drop a like in the, well, yeah, just drop a like, and if you've got any comments, then just drop those below, and that's really it from me. So hope you enjoyed, and hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.